So today we're going to keep working on how to find the vertex of a quadratic. So if we look at our first example, the problems we've been doing the last 2 days is we've found our two roots and then gone to the middle of them and gone from there to find our vertex. So just as a refresher, here's my xy plane. Let's say these two are my roots right here. I go down the middle and then find my vertex by plugging that in. But what if I cannot find these two roots right here? Because not everything is factorable, and when it's not factorable we have to use a quadratic formula, and we use a quadratic formula we're going to get some decimals because of the square root. So we look at example number 1. If I try to do my x factor, nothing multiplies to -3 and combines to -12, so this is not factorable, which means I'm going to have to use the quadratic formula to find the two roots. And I'm not going to get nice whole number answers. I'm going to get decimals, which means when I go ahead and graph it, I'm going to have to graph in between numbers, which means it's going to be difficult to tell what those numbers are and exactly where the middle is at. So there's actually another way of finding the vertex without depending on the roots. So how do we find the line of symmetry? And this actually comes from the quadratic formula. So how do we find that x value? It's pretty much the quadratic formula. So I'm just going to write it over again. Here's the quadratic formula again. And it's the average of these two solutions, the one with the plus and the one with the minus. What pretty much ends up happening is this part right here ends up getting eliminated because of the positive and negative, since they're opposites, and we're left with -b over 2a. And that is what I'm going to use to figure out the x value, which is also the line of symmetry. So this is what you're going to write. So the x value is always -b over 2a. So this is going to give us the x value for the line of symmetry for our vertex, and then the y value is you just plug it in. So let's go ahead and find the vertex of a few examples here. So let's go ahead and do example 1. Find the vertex of this equation. So let's go ahead and find the x value. It's always -b over 2 times a. In this case, we have our b value is -12. So we're going to have a -12 all over 2 times 3. Remember, this is our a value and that's our b value. And we're just going to go ahead and simplify that. That's 12 divided by 6, which is going to give us a 2. So our x value and our line of symmetry is at 2. So our vertex is 2 comma something. Let's go ahead and figure out our y value. The y value, you just plug in the 2 back into the equation. So we have 3x squared minus 12 times x minus 1. And all we do is plug in that number 2. And from this point, it's just a matter of simplifying and simplifying correctly. Always do the exponent first. So that's been taken care of. 12 times 2 is 24 minus 1. And then we're going to keep simplifying. That's going to be 12 minus 24 minus 1. That's going to be 12 minus 24 is -12 minus 1, which gives us a -13. And you always have the option of just typing that into the calculator and hitting enter, but make sure you do it correctly. So this right here is my vertex, and that's pretty much a quick way of finding the vertex. Alright, let's go ahead and do number 2. Let's go ahead and plug it into our formula, which is a piece of the quadratic formula without the square root piece. We go ahead and substitute the b, which is 12, so it's -12. all over 2 times a, which is -2. That's going to be -12 divided by -4, which simplifies to a 3. I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the equation. Y equals -2 blank squared plus 12 times x. I'm going to put a blank and a 5. I'm going to substitute my 3 into both x's. And just order of operations, exponent first, 3 squared is 9, that's 36, and bring down the 5, 2 times 9, but negative 18, plus 36, plus 5. Keep simplifying. That's going to be 18 plus 5, which gives us 23. So our vertex here is 3 for the x value and 23 for the y value. All right, one thing I do want you guys to notice here is the following. This always happens with the vertex. This first number and second number are connected somehow. Notice the first number is half the amount of the second number. So 12 is half of 24, 18 is half of 36, and 1 is always positive and 1 is always going to be negative. So that always happens with the vertex, just as a good check in case you're not sure if you're doing it right. All right, let's move on to the last one. All right, here's example number 3. Let's repeat the same thing. Start with our equation. X equals negative b over 2a, which is, again, a piece of the quadratic formula without the square root. Let's go ahead and plug in the b value, which is 8, so it's negative of 8, all over 2 times a, which is 4. So we end up with negative 8 divided by 8, which simplifies to negative 1. So that's the x value of our vertex. Y value would be from plugging it back into the equation. So 4x squared plus 8x plus 3. I'm going to substitute a negative 1. And I get 4 times 1, because the negative squared is always positive. This is going to be negative 8 plus 3. Simplify some more. We have 4 minus 8 plus 3. Remember the check. One's positive, one's negative, and the second one is double the first one, which it works out here. Y equals negative 4 plus 3. And I end up with negative 1. So my y value for the vertex is negative 1. And this is a way to find the vertex without having a factor and when your equation is not factorable. All right, go ahead and start the practice. Good luck.